if you're a dad and you are kind of, maybe like not a good sports parent, sometimes you're maybe hard on your kid, maybe even a jerk, right? There's a few of them, and nobody supports sports parents like me. I hate it when people they talk about the wacko sports parent just so they get likes on Twitter. Some of these young college kids do that. I'm like, dude, just be quiet. You don't even know. You haven't even had to pay a phone bill yet, But, so I support sports parents because, that's my job, is sports parents signing up, coming to camps. I see these people. You don't have a life. You wish you did, but when I was a sports parent, I didn't either. I was with my kids all the time. So, but it's a cool chapter of life that's over way too soon. But I've met a few kind of jerks, and they don't stay around very long. But there's a few of them, right? So if you're like, man, sometimes I'm just a jerk and I just don't like being this way, I wish someone could help me. Here's 2 good stories that will help. So, my son was a great wrestler, but he kind of had a few years where it was kind of rough. He wasn't having success and lost about, 40% of his matches. And it was not easy. And then being, my son with the wrestling kind of business, and, it just wasn't easy. He'd be a little kid and they'd gather around the mat to watch. Sons of pressure. I even thought about taking him out of wrestling. But I was like, hey, Ty. I had a buddy to hang out with a lot, ended up moving away. I was like, so Mike makes more money than me, a lot more. And I'm like, you don't wish he was your dad, do you? And he was so offended. He had this, I'll never forget it, he got this weird look on his face. He was like 11. He's like, no, what? He was all flustered. I'm like, wait, let me finish. I'm like, so now you know how I feel. I have academy kids who win more than you do. I do not wish that they were my son. You are my son. Very proud of you. And you never have to win a Pee Wee national title or a Pee Wee state title. He ended up making state finals. We won AAU state and Pee Wee, and then state runner-up in youth wrestling also in the USA series, which is the more competitive one. And, ended up being a great wrestler, and, state medalist twice, lost his senior year due to concussion. Top 10 in the nation in Virginia Beach, the high school folk style nationals, had Division I schools after him, had a tight match with a number 13 ranked guy in America overall. And so, he ended up having a great career, but there was a dry spell there. And, but that was the thing. I thought it would be good just to point it out. So, if your kids feel like you're disappointed in them because they don't win as much as somebody else, that's like you're accidentally child abusing them. And I know it's accidental, but you can't do this. You cannot always talk about the other kid on the team that wins everything. There's admiration. We should not have admiration for another kid just because their sports results are better than our kids. That is not good. Just like you would not want your son or daughter to constantly talk about and compare you to the other parents who maybe have a beach house or have a vacation home. I don't know. Or maybe you have that. I had one dad, and he was like, I can't help myself because I know I've damaged my relationship with my son. I've said some of the meanest stuff. And he had a few beers in him, and I was like, just be the 40-year-old. He goes, I can't. He goes, I can't. He goes, I just get so enraged and I say stuff, and it's like 3 days later and I feel so terrible about myself. And I'm like, okay, do me a favor. I go, stand up and pull up your shirt. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? We were at this kind of sports bar. I'm like, I want to see that 8-pack. I go, let me see your credit score. Let me look at your bank account. Let me see your 401k. Are you VP of your company yet? How much money you make? How much money do you donate to the church? Did you go to church this weekend? Do you spend time with your wife? How many push-ups can you do? I want to see what makes you so freaking special that you even have time to get mad at your 9-year-old son for not winning a tournament and beating another Pee Wee kid. And he's like, dude, you're getting it. You're smart. You're making me feel like crap. He was laughing because he was my friend too. And I was like, I am right. I am making a very good point. I said, that's got to be my approach, because wrestling, I wrestled back when it was easy in the late 80s and 90s. You know, was All-American at Oklahoma State, ranked number 1 in the nation in high school when I graduated. And I tell my son, I'll tell my academy kids, it was easy back then. You only had to wrestle really hard twice a week and you could be nationally ranked. Nowadays, it's freaking, sports is stupid nowadays. I mean, it's so freaking hard. High school wrestling is probably harder than college wrestling when I'm not joking. And I don't downplay that just to help my athletes. I mean, it's the truth. It's freaking harder now, you know? But I did always preach that to my kids, you know, especially my son who was in wrestling, which was a little bit difficult. And just said, this is your deal. I'm your coach. I'm going to support you, and I'm your parent. But when it's wrestling time, I'm supporting you as a parent. Okay? When it's wrestling time, I'm your coach. I'm not your parent. But I want you to know that you just got to watch me. You want to see someone work? Watch the hours I work. Right? Watch the hours your mom works during wrestling camp when we were first starting out. It's brutal. Brutal hours. Inhumane. And I think that when we lead by example, we're like, hey kid, watch my smoke. I was up at 6:30 a.m. doing pull-ups. And I encourage you dads who still have the competitive fire, and then your entertainment is your kid's wrestling career, and that's nothing wrong with that. My entertainment was my kid's sports too. I loved it. But it can't be like they're gonna make my sports dreams come true kind of thing. So I would encourage you to join jiu-jitsu, start amateur bodybuilding, you know, get into MMA maybe, or I don't know, probably not that, but jiu-jitsu, marathon running, bodybuilding. And you know, say I'm gonna compete again. I'm gonna train for this marathon. You guys can come watch me one time. So then you're doing a sport with the kids, but they're doing their thing, and you're supporting them. And sure, you got to kick them in the butt sometimes. I'm not saying let them just. I mean, the kids will eat ice cream 3 times a day if you let them. You got to be a parent. Sometimes you got to say no. You get up and go to practice. Hey, you practice like that again. I'm pulling you out of practice and we're going to go run 5 miles. You're not going to practice that way. So I'm not telling you not to be a good parent and be a demanding parent. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if your kids feel like your love for them is attached to their success in wrestling or any sport, that's not healthy for that kid at all. And you know it. And if you're like, I know it, but I have a hard time, then I think we need to take and busy ourselves over here with our marathon preparation and our bodybuilding. And it can't be something like, oh, I'm going to take up deer hunting or fishing. No, that's not a sport. Take up something hard where you got to get up and run 5 miles, or you got to do some physical effort. So I would say pick up a sport that's physically demanding, like your kids are doing with wrestling, because now it's comparable. And now you can say, watch my smoke, kid. You're chasing your goals in sports. I'm chasing mine, and you're probably gonna find this a little bit harder than you think. And it will busy yourself, so you're not in their stuff too much, and it gives you a real wonderful opportunity to lead by example. You know, so there's my 2 stories. Hopefully it helps. And you know, we've all screwed up before, so have I. So, but we gotta knock it off. We know that.